Abdul. Number 2, Caleb McCocher. 3, Tyler Geis. 4, Jimmy Till.
Greetings from Hunter Stadium in Covington for playoff soccer. It's the Division I regional round between the number 1 seed St. Paul's Wolves and the 16th seeded Mandeville Skippers. I'm Jude Young with you. I'll be joined a little later on by Coach Alan DeRitter, who hosts a fine podcast that's carried here on Crescent City Sports, Monday Night Football. Glad to have you all with us tonight for this matchup of regional rivals and district rivals, obviously, but a matchup that clearly favors the home team, the St. Paul's Wolves, a fantastic program for so many years now under Sean Moser, who, between his time at Sacred Heart uptown in New Orleans and here at St. Paul's, has coached 9 state championship teams, including 5 here with the Wolves. They're looking to get back on top of the mountain after having their streak broken last year in the finals against Jesuit. And Jesuit is the number 2 seed this year on the other side of the bracket. But first things first, St. Paul's with a bye in the first round as the top seed. Mandeville winning 1-0 over 17th seeded West Monroe to get this opportunity to face St. Paul's again. St. Paul's 21-1-4. That loss for the Wolves coming out of state, and that's very typical for this program, rarely losing in the regular season in state, but the last time it happened was a couple of years ago in a game I was fortunate enough to broadcast where the Skippers stunned St. Paul's in a district matchup here at Hunter Stadium 1-0. But St. Paul's went undefeated through district this year, and Mandeville, which didn't even make the playoffs last year, went 4-2-1. One of those 2 losses, a 4-1 defeat just 16 days ago to St. Paul's, in which the Wolves dominated, scoring the first 4 goals of the match, including 2 by Philip Pierce, 1 more by Connor Walmsley, who also had 2 assists. Mandeville avoiding the shutout late. Emil Canigliamia able to score late in that one. But we're expecting a match tonight where St. Paul's, if they were to score first and early, it could be a similar replay type match to the first time these 2 teams met. But we know Mandeville is capable, especially if they can score first, of defending and giving themselves a chance to win. And familiarity, we know, also breeds a little bit of contempt in rivalries like this. And so we expect a hotly contested match tonight in what is perfect soccer weather. We had a sprinkle about an hour and a half before kickoff of this one, which was moments away, that basically lasted about a minute. So it wasn't very much, and it's an artificial turf stadium here in Covington, so field conditions are fine. The weather is fantastic tonight, as we had the hottest high temperature today in greater New Orleans on both sides of the lake that we've really seen all winter long, although it's about to get colder again, we're told tonight. So this matchup being played in very comfortable conditions. The temperature 73 degrees right now, and minimal wind, about 5 miles per hour, so nothing that should affect this match tonight. Winner of the matchup will face Catholic in the quarterfinals. Catholic of Baton Rouge handling Bonneville by a score of 4-0. That match taking place yesterday in Baton Rouge after Bonneville upset Byrd. A surprise there in a 24 versus 9 matchup. Of course, the state finals taking place at the Raging Cajun Soccer Complex over in Lafayette after so many years until the change last year, having the state championships at Tad Gormley Stadium in New Orleans. And if seeding holds, it'll be 2 New Orleans area teams meeting again in this bracket. But we shall see. For St. Paul's, after the first week off, they hope to get off to a good start here and repeat the first feat against Mandeville, as we're about ready to be underway.
Michael Dufour starting it off against the Mandeville Skippers.
St. Paul's will have the opening kickoff and first possession of this one, and we expect the Wolves to dominate possession large portions of this match tonight. In the upset 2 years ago, Mandeville was able to put early ball pressure and come up with what was the only goal of the match. You'd have to think a similar game plan. These programs know each other so well as district rivals, club soccer as well, some crossover with different area clubs. So as we're underway, no question about it, familiarity makes this one tricky for St. Paul's and gives Mandeville at least perhaps a fighting chance here. But again, it'll be hard to dispossess this really good Wolves team that plays traditional football on the carpet. A lot of talent and depth that Sean Moser has at his disposal. Keep an eye on Michael Dufour, number 17, a junior, leading scorer with 22 goals this season. And we mentioned Connor Walmsley, who played so well with a goal and 2 assists in the first matchup between these two teams. Fantastic player and oftentimes in the midfield making things happen, wearing the number 10 kit tonight, as St. Paul's will have a throw-in on the far side in the final third. And quickly back to action and looking to attack middle of the field. First kick towards goal anyway, off target to the right for a goal kick.
That was Walmsley with our first shot on the goal for the night.
Walmsley trying to take advantage of the space available there, but didn't get a good foot on it and dragged it wide on the left-footed try. Double ricochet there, and now ball played up in the air. These are the moments, these 50-50 balls, where Mandeville needs to win, but chest control by St. Paul's. And Walmsley, and now lifted the other way. Upended there was Dufour, and we have our first whistle and foul of the match. But it will go the other way against St. Paul's, so a free kick for Mandeville. For the Skippers, Jacob Vetchik, a junior, 19 goals on the season, so he's clearly the danger man for the road team in white tonight. St. Paul's in all yellow. And again, no surprise on these free kick and goal kick opportunities. A lot of these balls will be hoofed forward. Try to avoid the very talented midfield for St. Paul's, but again, they control here and moving the other way. James Till with the feed early in this attack, and now forward trying to get it on the foot of Dufour, the keeper having to come out and clear it far side.
Just knocked away by the goalie.
Opportunity here near side for Hale Neichman. Now back in the center of the pitch, but you will see 8 and 9 players behind the ball for Mandeville in these spots, smartly so. And Dufour here, it looks like he was offsides on the feed forward, and that is drawing the flag far side. So once again, Mandeville with a chance to try to make something happen up the field. I mentioned the Skippers not in the playoff bracket last year. 24 teams make the postseason in each of the 4 divisions in the LHSAA. Great to see public and private schools facing off together in a sport. That becoming increasingly rare, unfortunately. The longer Mandeville can keep its shape defensively here and keep play in front of them, the better, especially in the early stages as St. Paul's tries to probe and attack. Here's Neichman again, and a ball poked away. Now a rather unconvincing opportunity for some 30 yards away. It's deflected out, and it'll be the first corner of the match going to St. Paul's. Looks like Walmsley will go to the far side to do the honors. Looks like a left-footed in-swinger coming, and it is towards the back post, headed down and cleared away off the line by the post. The Skippers doing just enough. Now looking to work the ball forward, perhaps a chance for a counter, but instead just clearing towards midfield.
Skippers able to keep it away.
We have a whistle and another offsides against St. Paul's, so another brief breather for Mandeville after the first really good opportunity of the match to score coming the way of the corner kick for St. Paul's. quick restart for the Wolves here and just keeping the ball on the end line, creating an opportunity far side. Ball crossed and a good save, but not able to smother it. Cleared, though, by one of the center backs for Mandeville. And a foul is called against St. Paul's. And Walmsley a little stunned by that whistle.
By St. Paul's, deflected by a pair of skippers.
Doesn't take very much for St. Paul's.
Foul called in favor.
Again, they keep the ball on the mat and work it up the carpet really well and on their home field, taking advantage of their speed. Walmsley that time not able to keep it in, tripping over the ball, so a throw in close to midfield, and quickly Mandeville looking, see if they can get something going with the deep throw. Headed forward nicely by Andrew Melvin, and a chance for a throw in is the result.
4 people made contact before it hit the ground.
Keep an eye on number 15, Vecek, as mentioned. He right in the center of the action forward near the goal mouth. And it'll be Caden Costa, sophomore, trying the long throw in, and very nicely done, headed over and to the right of goal. So at least a chance there for Mandeville.
Over the goal.
In really ideal conditions for football tonight. Trace Roberts, a 6'3" senior, in goal for St. Paul's. Wolves average about 3.5 goals per game on the season. And they've been blessed with very good goalkeeping on the back end as well. Of course, the challenge is when you dominate possession most matches and you're on the back line and handling the duties in goal, you have to keep your focus because the opportunities may not come very often for the opponent, but you have to be ready and sharp when they do. I like this moment perhaps right here. Ball in the foot of Caleb Newton, the captain for Mandeville. And now Thomas McDavid, a sophomore, playing the ball forward. And now it's St. Paul's with a chance to counter. And this is where they're awfully dangerous. When you do get your opportunities, can you recover? Just cleared away. Very nice defensive play by Evan Lombas, a junior. And he will again be on the spot to let the ball be played out for a goal kick. A good start if you're Mandeville. Had a decent opportunity on a throw in a moment ago. Goal really threatened just once on the other end. Once again, a lot of these balls in the air being won by St. Paul's and helping them do what they normally do and keep a lion's share of the possession. Two best teams in this district, District 4 in Division 1. St. Paul's, of course, and number 3 seeded North Shore. They're in action tonight against number 14 seed East Ascension as the 3 seed. Here's Walmsley playing it far side. Always in the center of the action. Now played forward. This should be an easy play for the keeper, but he misplays it over his head, headed down, and an opportunity missed perhaps by Dufour as the line cleared again by the back line of Mandeville, and now a foul is called against the Skippers. Pushing them back by Andrew Melvin.
Against the Skippers.
Evan Rowland in goal for Mandeville. Probably wanted that moment back. Fortunate enough not to pay the ultimate price. Here's James Bradford, second on St. Paul's in goals with 14, starting the set piece there, and now it's headed out again by Mandeville, far sideline. Excellent throw in, but again, center of the Mandeville defense up to the task. Still a chance near side for Neichman. Now played into the box once more. And 3 different headers get it out of danger, at least for the moment. Here's Philip Pierce, who scored twice in the regular season matchup between the teams, now playing it wide. Bradford plays it into the side netting, but they're going to say, I think it's a deflection, and it will be a corner kick on the near side here. Second corner of the game for St. Paul's. Scoreless 11 minutes in. 2 40-minute halves, plus, of course, stoppage time coming your way in this playoff contest. In swinger again, the choice by the Wolves, and headed away once more. Bradford trying to beat the fullback, and a good shoulder-to-shoulder play defensively there for Mandeville. But off of the Skippers, another corner.
Another corner kick for the Wolves.
And not agreeing was Timothy Doel, a Mandeville senior, on the play. But he'll have to defend once more here. That overshot, but still kept in play. This one, however, is not. Yet another corner coming for the home team tonight. Once again, Walmsley. And that again deflected away, went off the fingertips of the keeper and out of play. But the pressure continues.
Again,
if anything, with 5 opportunities here in these situations on corners, tough to defend, but when you're dealing with St. Paul's, perhaps easier if they're dominating the ball than the run of play. That one a looping corner, not a very good one. An easy clearance for Mandeville there. Ben Schwing, a junior defender, played it out. And Mandeville desperately looking for an opportunity to counter, or at least fully relieve the pressure as they do there, hoofing it into the Wolves' end. And there you have a mistake on the ball for St. Paul, so an opportunity for a throw-in on the right end of the field if you're Mandeville. No surprise, another long throw-in coming and headed away, confident in the air. And here comes St. Paul's once more. Played on the rug by Bradford, forward near side, and that a clear-cut foul to chop down the opportunity for Dufour. And here comes the first yellow card of this match. That a no-brainer for the official. Looked like it was Brendan Williams, the culprit. And it was, number 14. Sometimes they call it a professional foul. Of course, this is amateur football, but did his job. But a set piece from a threatening angle here. And who will it be? Will it be Bradford to play it? It is. And Lowe not handled very well, with a real chance there, safely into the hands of the keeper. Usually you don't expect the ball to stay on a carpet from that spot, and Philip Pierce could have done better. Good control of the ball here, and there is a chance for the Skippers. McDavid keeping possession nicely there and playing it towards the middle, but the ball did not stay at the foot of Vecek. Skippers still battling here to try to keep some sort of attack coming. Few and far between, but that one played out far side. And once again, a throw in for the Wolves, who will not waste any time. Played forward, and an excellent ball as the onside he is. Pierce playing it back. Walmsley has it poked away just inside the box. Pierce again playing it forward, but right into the teeth of the Mandeville defense. Here again, the Skippers should try to go quickly. They have some space to work with here. Can they keep their poise? Very nicely touched forward. And at the feet of Caleb Newton. Newton now to McDavid. McDavid with 2 defenders in front of him, trying to keep the ball at his feet and keep going, and it's poked away from him out of bounds for a throw in a dangerous spot. If you're Mandeville, you don't mind how things are going here overall. Live streaming on Crescent City Sports is brought to you by Ye Olde College Inn, a true New Orleans farm-to-table restaurant open Tuesday through Thursday for dinner and the home of the New Orleans Prep Sports Hall of Fame. Cleared by St. Paul's, and here they come again. It's Bradford playing it forward to midfield. Now you watch the secondary break for the Wolves as they bring more numbers forward again. Played out, though. Again, relieving the pressure. Newton with a clean tackle. A throw-in chance. It looks like Neichman will have the honors and throws it over his intended target. And again, Mandeville with a chance here with space to work with. Melvin overshooting his target. Vetchik now played back to the keeper for the Wolves. Roland hasn't had much to do, Trace Roberts for St. Paul's, but that's nothing new. But more of the ball and more chances in the final third for Mandeville in the last 3 minutes. The skipper's here trying to keep it going, but instead, perhaps in danger. 2 Wolves coming, and this one played to the far side, not the one in the middle. So it's Pierce losing it and played out on the end line. Another corner kick for St. Paul's. That's 6 and counting here in the opening half. And we're not halfway through this first 40 minutes plus. Again, the choice and end swinger. Headed down, and a tough play again off that bouncy turf. But Roland did enough to clear it wide right. And the corner kick festival continues for St. Paul's here in the first half. Walmsley punched away again by the keeper, but not far enough. Played down, and a foot saving the day by a defender. Mandeville again clearing their lines thanks to the back 4, and now safely into the hands of Roland. All these moments, these bounces really need to go Mandeville's way to stay in it. So far they have. Jude Young with you. Along with the Merritts, Chip and Matt, who do a great job helping us produce these webcasts all year long. Many sports you can watch live and free, thanks to our great sponsors at Crescent City Sports. We have a substitution first of the match. It'll be Tyler Vetchik, the freshman, younger brother of Jacob, coming in. And Andrew Melvin, the sophomore, will have an opportunity to catch his breath. Number 9, Ashton Mouton, a sophomore for St. Paul's, was stretching momentarily on the sideline. We're about to upgrade this broadcast significantly in a moment. Coach Alan DeRitter making it through some tough traffic, as everybody on the North Shore understands, to join us in a moment. Well, we have to allow St. Paul's to again stay on the attack, but that ball going over the line, far sideline, throw in Mandeville. And Coach Alan DeRitter, of course, a state championship winner, and now the head coach at De La Salle, the great host of Monday Night Football. Great to have you with us tonight. Catch your breath. I know it's been a sprint from uptown New Orleans.
Yeah, we had parent night tonight at De La Salle, and so I got here as soon as I could. But I got a chance to really pass the Mandeville bench, and Coach Aries really coaching hard, and the intensity on the field is amazing right now.
this rivalry, I think, heating up a couple of years ago with the big upset in the regular season, the 1-0 Mandeville win that was broadcast on our former website by yours truly.
Yep.
And that one, a 3-year in-state streak broken, and neither of these programs and fans have forgotten it, but St. Paul's has dominated early and often here. A couple of chances cleared off the line by defenders for Mandeville already.
I saw a great save right in the gate where I parked. It should be 1-0 already. But I'll tell you what, Coach Aries, look how he's defending now with everybody. He has no forwards right now. He has all 10 defending around the box. Oh, my.
A couple of misplayed balls like that, and once again, Mandeville very fortunate not to give up a goal. Clearly, we know Evan Rowland's going to be busy tonight in goal, and he's made some nice plays just by the fingertips, but he's misplayed a couple of balls too, and this bouncy turf can be a bit of an issue, particularly if you're not used to it on a night where there's been a little bit of rain earlier, and that can add to the skip factor, right?
Yeah, well, I was about to say the great equalizer's falling from the sky right now. Not too hard, though.
But it does just enough to wet the surface and make it a little bit slick.
Right. I guess I've only been here a few minutes, but it seems to me that Mandeville is going to make sure that if they can score, they can. They're going to make sure that St. Paul's can't.
As long as it's 0-0, it's a win when you're this big of an underdog. And clearly they've done better than the first matchup, falling behind 2-0 in the first half, then 4-0 before falling 4-1. But again, I think familiarity helps you seeing an opponent for the second time in just 16 days. And Mandeville understanding the enormity of the challenge to defend here.
Right, and just look at the Jesuit Brother Martin game yesterday, too, you know. That went down to the wire when it was a 3-0 game just a few weeks ago.
Very similar to last year when Brother Martin only fell here 1-0 to St. Paul's.
Yeah. So.
And it's a very different situation when the season's on the line. It's a one-off in the playoffs, so the pressure on the favorite in cases like that.
Oh, my.
They're gonna call a handball
in the box.
Wow.
Oh, my.
PK for the Wolves.
Huge opportunity on the penalty kick coming up for St. Paul's.
Well, the problem is here is that, you know, instead of clearing it, they missed the ball, and that allowed that ball to be able to get in a position where his hand could get on it.
No doubt about it with the right arm.
Okay.
So you credit the official for making the proper call. And the chance with the left foot is in the net, buried. Keeper guessed wrong, and St. Paul's with Connor Walmsley able to take the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and that's good pedigree, good coaching. You want to, in high school, you want to put the ball in the lower 90 and not get too fancy. And even if you would have guessed correctly, that would have been a hard save because that ball was perfectly placed in the lower right-hand corner, and that's really what you need to do in high school.
9th goal of the season for Connor Walmsley and the first goal of the playoffs for St. Paul's. And they're happy to have finally a deserved 1-0 lead the way they've dominated the first 23-plus minutes of this match.
And look, St. Paul's is about to put 3 people in the game. I mean, most people would be glad just to have like 12 or 13 players, but they could put a whole fleet in at one time and not skip a beat.
It'll be Jack Pellegrini coming in, as well as Matthew Lyon and Axel Henderson.
Axel Henderson now in the game.
So 3 fresh subs, and you know the depth of this squad. No surprise, especially now with the comfort of being on top.
That's right, and now we'll see how Coach Airy adjusts, because now you can't park the bus. I don't know what I would do in this situation, but I tell you what, right now you have to act like there's 2 minutes left to go in the game. I think if you're Mandeville, you got to start putting the pressure up.
Usually you're in the most danger, and St. Paul's being the test case here when you've scored that first goal, that first 5 minutes afterwards, but not if you dominate possession like they have tonight. So you think Mandeville needs to be a bit more aggressive. And here, interesting, the foul going the way of St. Paul's is the keeper Rowland coming way out of his crease to make a play there.
Right, and he's lucky he got that foul because I tell you what, that could have been 2-0 easily. I don't know why. Well, they're calling a tight game, it looks like.
You have to wonder if they know, rivals, district rivals, maybe a little bit contentious. Maybe even on the internet, a little bit of tension felt between fans and more from what I saw. Of course, you're a moderator and part of a message board that's very popular that follows high school soccer, and I've already talked about your great podcast. We'll give you a little time later to talk more about that for folks who really want to know what's going on with youth and amateur soccer in Louisiana. We're very fortunate to carry that podcast, Monday Night Football, on CrescentCitySports.com.
Yeah, I'm glad to be on it. And, no, I tell you what, Sean and Ari, I mean, they're professionals. I mean, they want to be at the top of the game, and the North Shore, the competition is so great. And I think Mandeville's definitely on the right track. They definitely have the right guy at the helm. And St. Paul's, look, Sean keeps proving year in and year out that it's hard to coach really good players, because if you have like 24 starters on your roster, I mean, it's really hard politically to keep everybody happy and keep the team in a good presence in the locker room where everybody's getting along with everybody. Very difficult to do.
Creates a great deal of competition day in, day out in practice, but guys want to play.
That's right. And I've seen St. Paul's practice. That's exactly how you got to explain a St. Paul's practice. It's competitive.
Walmsley, a fantastic player, dominated early in this match in the center of midfield. Been the table setter already a couple times, coming up with the goal on the penalty kick after the handball against Mandeville. And again, St. Paul's coming.
Yeah, Mandeville's dropping 8 now. No, 7. And St. Paul's is respecting their counterattack. They're not going to let them have an easy counter goal.
Right, keeping a couple defenders at midfield as Mandeville created a couple of opportunities right before you arrived, middle of the half, about 5 minutes before the goal.
Okay, yeah. Start of the game jitters. That was a good idea to try to score early.
Once again, a chance for Walmsley. Dangerous distance to play it into the box, and he does. And
wow, it was a beautiful ball. That should have been a goal. My goodness. Beautiful left-footed serve.
Right side.
This match could easily be 3 or 4-0 at this point.
I agree.
I think a lot of folks are anticipating down the line another St. Paul's Jesuit matchup, but you did a extensive breakdown of each division, boys and girls, and there are teams in the bracket who could certainly mess up the 1 versus 2 plans of these two programs.
I really got my eyes on St. Amant, and we'll see if St. Amant can get through, their challenge against Denham Springs, but Denham Springs has had a great year. It's kind of unfortunate. The two teams that could upset St. Paul's are meeting each other now in the quarterfinals. And the reason why we went to power rankings was to stop that from happening. I mean, Jesuit had to run into Brother Martin in the second round. And that's how it was in the old days. I remember having to play St. Paul's in the second round. I felt like that was the state championship game. And but it was the second round. And you go down as by-district. I don't even know a word for a team that loses in the by-district round,
And last year, as we recall, the seeding so whacked out that Jesuit was a 15th seed. Exactly. And everybody just laughed and said, okay, we'll see how that plays out. And it wound up playing out that they won it all.
Exactly. I think we really, maybe I could talk about it at halftime, but I think I've come up talking to all these coaches throughout the last couple of weeks. I think we've come up with a good idea that maybe the LHSA needs to think about, because the power rankings, I think that allows the politics to be removed. Allows coaches to play around and schedule to get points. But I really do think that if they would allow the Coaches Association to then seed like the NCAA basketball tournament does, then you would avoid this, because this could be a semifinal game, or at least a quarterfinal
Have
game.
a weighted system where half of it's the power rankings and then there's a blind seeding that's averaged out for the coaches. Something like that makes a lot more sense, so you have the fairness. I think using the same system for every sport is going to have its pitfalls, and particularly in soccer, where it's a lot different than football, which I think probably has a fairer final result when it comes to the seeding by comparison.
I think so.
And it's probably built for football first, too, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Football, I think, took a step in the right direction. Maybe we won't have, 9 state champions?
Right.
But I'm just hoping we're really nervous over here in the soccer world that the LHSA came really close to splitting us up. And at least here we have a true state champion. You got a great public school and a great private school going nose to nose with each other. And when it's over, the winner has bragging rights, and not you don't have a public champion and a private champion. You just wonder what they would do.
It's great. No what ifs.
Yes.
In this state, with the size of the state and the number of schools competing and the proper divisions like we have with the 4 in soccer, you have true champions, and it's a beautiful thing that. It would be terrible if it were lost.
That's right. I went to go watch Pope John Paul last night play against Ascension Episcopal, and it was as intense as this game is, because they're playing for a real championship,
About 3/4 of the way through this first half, and St. Paul's having it go according to plan so far, but just 1-0 in Mandeville. If they can at least get to the half at that mark or maybe do better, they have to feel decent about their chances considering how difficult we know this challenge is against St. Paul's, but they've been dangerous throughout this match, and for Mandeville, the counters have been few and far between, but this perhaps a chance.
Not like that.
Not like that. It has to be quick and biting, and there is some speed and talent here for Mandeville if they can at least give themselves a chance with numbers forward, but that's so difficult to do when you play so many behind the ball.
Yeah, and don't forget, too, the elephant in the room is familiarity. These kids know each other. Oh, that was a love tap on the ribs. They know each other. They know each other by first name. So they know everybody, their idiosyncrasies. Have been playing with each other at Mandeville and Covington since they were 4. So there's no secrets coming out tonight.
And some crossover with club soccer as well.
Oh, definitely.
Live
here we go.
Oh, here was an opportunity for Mandeville. Just what they were looking for. Needs to control it, and it is. Emil can. Oh, good clearance there for St. Paul's.
Yep.
And it's really hard when you're not challenged that much to be up to the challenge. We were talking about that earlier, but the back line for St. Paul's equal to the task, and now a chance to counter for themselves.
Yeah, Mandeville maybe, second guessing is easy to do, but maybe he should have taken the shot. But, hey, one inch away from being able to turn out into a goal,
Emilio Cangiamila, the opportunity there, 9 goals on the season, second on Mandeville, decided to try to find Betchik, the leading goal scorer, and perhaps the wrong decision, but again, you're more critical of the chances when they're fewer and far between, but once again, Mandeville with a chance here, playing it into space, but not playing it past the final defender.
No.
And up to the task twice there was Lucas Isolani, a 6'1 junior.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the center back from St. Paul's just did a great job right now, really knowing when to loosen up, and that stopped that attack. It's amazing how you know all these stats for all these high schools. I'm just so impressed with that,
I have to
Jude.
credit the fact that the internet nowadays, coaches know it's important. The kids and the families want to have that on there, so it's very easy to collect this information. And these two programs in particular make sure all their stats are uploaded online at Max Prep. So a tip of the cap to both coaches who are outstanding coaches on the field as well.
Yep. And they got me beat on that part. It's so hard to keep up with the stats.
Oh, no doubt. That's the last thing on a head coach's mind. But look, especially as we go further and further into the social media era of this world, those kids want that information instantly available. So do their parents, so do their friends, families, etc. Live streaming on Crescent City Sports is brought to you by Riverlands Insurance in Luling, meeting all your insurance needs. Call Riverlands at 1-800-336-4579 or go to RIVINS.com.
This looks like a Crescent City crew refereeing. And I wonder why St. Paul's gets, I guess St. Paul's owns that machine to do the substituting like you see on a professional match.
It makes it a lot easier for us.
Yes, it does. All right, here's an opportunity. They can't waste this. They cannot rush this.
They have to make the decision how many they want to bring forward, and instead, let's see.
I thought that was a real play. Let's say that was a waste.
They're going to put at least 5 up there in or around the top of the area.
Yeah, Aries yelling like crazy, so I bet you that's going in the box.
Melvin to play it forward.
Good play.
Right-handed punch away nicely by Roberts, and it will deflect out. And it will be the first corner of the match coming Mandeville's way.
But that ball was poised and a good place for it to be flicked in, and Robertson got it.
7-1 the advantage for St. Paul's on corners. And you talk about opportunities.
Yeah.
These will be rare tonight for the Skippers. They need to make it a good one.
They got to put their A shot, to play their A game right here. They cannot just waste this.
Caden Costa dancing around, coming towards the ball, and glancing header goes wide.
Yeah.
Played near the sideline by James Till and out of play.
Yeah, they went for finesse instead of power. I mean, I don't know with the scouting report what Aries trying to do, but I tell you, that kind of backfired. I think you're going to have to go for the jugular vein if you're going to go against St. Paul's.
The throw-ins have been long and dangerous for Mandeville when they've come, and this one
Okay.
done
Is
very
there-
nicely indeed, but headed in the wrong direction.
Oh, boy.
And you won't see St. Paul's hoof it out of play to
Wolves
safety very often, but up 1-0 in the playoffs,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to go on the conservative side.
Look, I cannot explain to anybody listening to the show the pressure there is when you're in a playoff game and you're down 1-0. And the confidence booster that is for the team with one. It changes the entire dynamic of the game.
Plenty of room to work with. Center of the pitch now being played wide for St. Paul's at the foot of Jack Pellegrini.
Well, some of the
Back
midfielders.
heel, but off target by Walmsley. Such a talented player, showing off his skills in this first half. But again, every time Mandeville has an opportunity to try to keep the ball on the turf and play it forward, they haven't been able to get much going.
Looks like Costa's looking winded for Mandeville. I mean, some of the midfielders now are not getting back in transition, which that could lead to this.
And there have been a few subs for those overtaxed midfielders as Mandeville just trying to
Look at
clear it once more.
Tell you what, St. Paul's got away with one there. St. Paul's player just pulling the Mandeville player off the ball.
Been a bit physical tonight as expected, but clean between these two teams.
Yeah. I don't expect. I would never expect anything dirty. Intense? Yes.
Especially when you ramp it up. One and done it could be for St. Paul's tonight. Mandeville looking for a second straight playoff win as the underdog tonight, but under seemingly constant pressure here in the first half, down the one goal. St. Paul's keeping possession in the final third, again broken up by the Skippers.
What was tough for Coach Moser is having a first-round bye is just it's a killer sometimes because you get out of that rhythm. And this being their very first playoff game, and Mandeville, having to win to get in, you kind of have a little bit of confidence and swagger going into the game. But it looks like St. Paul's handled that off period well.
In the stadium, the clock will stop running with 2 minutes left on the board, not the official time. We will go 40 minutes plus whatever added on time will come from the lead official. Those are the rules of, for those who don't know, Louisiana high school soccer.
Well, we're definitely getting more fans, and the more they're educated, the better. I was in the stands with some fans who didn't really understand basics last night, and I just bit my lip the whole time.
Heck of a collision there, but cleanly cleared by Brendan Williams. Good atmosphere here at Hunter Stadium. The home side is almost completely packed, and you've got that soccer drum beat going as well. So, and that's the growth of the sport from the international level in America, really embracing the game after a couple of generations, MLS at the top, and many more youth clubs and developmental clubs available.
Well, I was expecting a little bit more people. I'm really surprised, but you could tell that's a second round game compared to if this would have been a semifinal game.
Their long throw in coming.
Yeah.
And Mandeville deserves a great deal of credit. Defensively, particularly their back line, have done very well in this first half.
Yes, they have. But I'm itching to see what Aries going to do for the second half. How he's going to, if he's going to make any changes at all. He's got to. If he's going to try to win the game, he's going to have to make a tweak here or there. Because right now St. Paul's is just very strong.
Do you worry about how big the defeat can be once you're down a goal and you know the other team has you outmanned? As a coach, where do you go in that situation, particularly when you have time at the half? Say it's 1-0 at that point, as Mandeville hopes, I'm sure, that it is. What kind of adjustment do you make to be more attack-minded but not leave yourself vulnerable at the same time?
It depends how talented your team is and where your program is. Like, so if I'm like, for example, I'm really proud of Bonneville going up to Shreveport and beating Bird.
Huge win.
So, like, if Bonneville was down 1-0 to St. Paul's, I would say continue doing what you're doing. 1-0 is a great result right now, and then hopefully you can get them on a counter or on a restart. with the familiarity these two teams have, I think they have to throw in a wrinkle. I'm saying Mandeville to St. Paul's that they're not expecting, and you got to understand that Coach Moser is going to be expecting something. So it's not just throwing a wrinkle that is really unexpected, and maybe like for example, go with 4 forwards for like 10 minutes, which is very risky. You know, in the case of Mandeville, Mandeville's program is established. And losing 1-0 or 3-0, 1-0 loss is going to hurt just as bad as a 3-0 loss.
Battling there just to give an opportunity and forcing Roberts to come up and make a play. That time, Mandeville just keeping the ball alive and working it forward at the same time. And needed one more deflection to go their way.
On the replay, if that was a dive or that was a hit, it looked like a dive from here. But if that was a hit, there's a lot of upset Mandeville parents over there. But you see what I was saying with Bonneville, that was an opportunity for Mandeville right there. Here is another one.
The end of the half going nicely, I think, for the Skippers. After that first goal, the Walmsley penalty kick. Yeah. You worry if you're the underdog of the match getting out of hand, and instead it is halftime as the whistle blows, and St. Paul's with the Walmsley goal, enjoying the 1-0 advantage. But we definitely have a match heading into the next 40 minutes of this one.
Oh yeah, I just can't wait for that time to pass, because I know he's going to make some changes.
1-0 the score, the number 1 seeded St. Paul's Wolves looking to knock off district rival Mandeville, the 16th seed. Here at Hunter Stadium, Jude Young along with the coach Alan DeRitter. And Coach, I want you to talk about what you do to broadcast what people really need to grow and understand the sport, which is information. You use Facebook Live, and you use the podcast to be able to interview coaches and analysts and those who are involved in youth and high school soccer in Louisiana to promote the sport in this state. Give folks out there who don't know a little bit of information on that.
Yeah, well, thanks to Crescent City Sports, we've been able to keep our radio show broadcasting, and most of our audience is statewide. And I was really hesitant in going to the Facebook Live approach, because I really want to hit the non-soccer players and the non-soccer fans and try to get them excited about soccer. And then all of a sudden, we broadcast last week and we get 12,000 views. And I didn't even know where that came from. So I think those numbers are going to go down. But when you have all these teams in the playoffs, you can't lie. When there's a high school championship on the line, people who are badminton fans or tennis fans, they're going to want to see that their team is going to win a state championship. There was a huge crowd for Pope John Paul last night against Ascension, and so people like me and Crescent City Sports, we need to keep doing our job and keep giving the people what they really want and they really need. I bet you the viewership tonight's going to be very, very high for the people on the South Shore that really just didn't want to come up to see two North Shore teams battle it out, but they want to watch the game.
Have to be some interest around the state, particularly at the top division in this, and the word being spread through message boards, social media, allowing us to be able at Crescent City Sports. We bring you matches in sports like bowling. Obviously, our wrestling coverage, I think, is unparalleled in the state as well, just amongst the quote-unquote Olympic sports who don't always get the attention they deserve. In the first half, the numbers from this one, 1-0, obviously the lead for St. Paul's. Shots 6-2, no surprise there in favor of the Wolves. 3 of them on target. Mandeville with just 1 decent opportunity. The corners going St. Paul's way early and often as they are able to play the ball wide and attack quite often, with Walmsley, the goal scorer, creating so many chances. And we've had a few fouls here, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Right, nothing out of the ordinary. And I tell you what, both teams have gotten as far away from each other as possible. And Harry's like lighting into him. This is probably the most important part of the game right now, honestly. What's being done and what's being adjusted. And I'm seeing both teams really focused. So a lot of y'all might think it's a lot of pep talk. There's no time for pep. You've got to make adjustments. You got 5 minutes to get the kids to understand them. And right now I see coaches working hard. we're going to have a really good second half.
You talked about the potential for Mandeville to try to come up with perhaps a more attacking-based system and alignment, maybe bringing an extra forward. And because of the substitution system in high school soccer, that provides the opportunity to test that and give guys an opportunity to perhaps press for a while without being stuck and not having the opportunity to switch back if you need to.
Right, and so if he's got a deep enough bench of offensive players, he can give that a shot. Now the problem for Mandeville is that there's no secret that there's probably 20 players on the bench at St. Paul's that could start for any team in the state, period. And so wearing St. Paul's out is not a strategy I think that'll work. I think if I was in Mandeville's shoes, I would try to find a way to get a quick goal and just keep people out of the box. I mean, it was unfortunate the way that handball happened, but in a way it's Mandeville's fault. That ball was floating in, and nobody really aggressively went to go get it because the Mandeville fullbacks were worried about the area of the field that they were supposed to defend and didn't vacate it. By the time he got to the ball, it was too late, and tragedy struck. This game's far from over, don't get me wrong, but I would hate to be in Coach Aries' shoes right now because 1-0 deficit to St. Paul's is like a 5 or 6-0 deficit to another team because they play great defense here.
We know that Mandeville has 3 solid goal-scoring options, and we've seen Jacob Bekicik really have limited touches, and Kanji Amila has had a couple of chances to try to create on the attack, mostly from wide positions, but we haven't heard much from the captain, Chris Nicholas, and again, that's just because of the lack of opportunities, and it's been mostly counter-based for Mandeville when they've had chances to try to press around the area. Meanwhile, for St. Paul's, I'm curious looking at the bracket. You talked about how you like Sanama's potential on this particular side. I have to ask about the other side since we have some time to do so here at the half. Clearly Jesuit a favorite, surviving against Brother Martin over at John Ryan in a great match yesterday. Who else over there could challenge the Blue Jays?
Right now tonight's game, North Shore and East Ascension. North Shore is tired of being second fiddle like Mandeville is to St. Paul's. But Ryan Lazaro there at North Shore, he's really built something from the ground up. I saw Slidell coaches on at the St. Paul's game. All the high schools in Slidell are really, these kids are getting well coached away from their high schools. And North Shore just, for 2 years now, just been in the shadow of St. Paul's and really being ignored because of the fact that they haven't been able to get to the final dance. Well, this year, I really think they'll destroy Alexandria. If they got to take care of business tonight against East Ascension, they're a good team, but they would have to beat Jesuit. And my team, we've played Jesuit, and Brother Martin exposed some weaknesses in Jesuit, and I really think North Shore can give them a run for their money, and then North Shore can get St. Paul's out of St. Tammany Parish and go play with them at ULL. That's going to be something to watch. I mean, we saw what Jesuit did last year, in the finals at Lafayette.
Well, North Shore has won tonight 1-0 in a match that ended up 10-on-10. 2 red cards, including Thomas Pellizzari of North Shore. So that means he's out for the next match against Alexandria. Does that not mean that?
Well, for me, that's how I handle red cards. It
Right.
depends whether it was a egregious foul, but there's no rule in the LHSA that says that you have to sit out a red carded player if they do their sportsmanship protocol.
Good to know.
Which can be done really in 2 days. So that's going to be up to Coach Lazaro as to whether or not he's going to play him against Alexandria. But East Ascension is no 14 seed. East Ascension's had a really good year, and they got caught in the numbers crunch in that 14-19 hole. And so having to draw North Shore, that was a tough fight because I do think East Ascension was a quarterfinal level team, and that kind of proved it. It looks like North Shore had to do everything they could to get to the game. It was 1-0, you said?
1-0 the final.
Yeah. So that was a war. That's the beauty of this high school sport, high school soccer. There's the passion that's played on the field is not replicated on the club fields. A lot of the kids understand that, and that's why those kids on this team and other teams are just loaded with talent. They're willing just to sit down on the bench and wait for their turn so they can experience
Well,
it.
that brings up a really good question that I think, and I know you touch on this on Monday Night Football, which debuts by 7 o'clock each and every Monday night throughout the year, holidays permitting, of course, but you're pretty regular about that, and a great job by your son as well to help produce that. I know he does a fantastic job. Let's talk about the development of soccer players. Is the club soccer system, you have to say in the end, because they're having the opportunity to practice and play, it's more good than bad, but just like the debate about basketball and the AAU system, which I think is far worse in this area where it's not development based, it's more about of a meat market, and I see you rubbing your fingers together. I think folks know what that means. And soccer, that's less of a problem, but the club system lacks the passion because it's not about playing for a school, for a crest, like it is on the high school level.
That's right, and that's probably one of the big problems with our country competing internationally is that players do play with passion for their clubs 12 months out the year, okay? And so they're developed in one system for 12 months out the year. Our kids get developed at a club and they get ripped out of the club right in the middle of the club season.
Right.
And to another system, what's you know, like all of my players are going now to go play for different systems and different coaches, which is fine. But in Europe, there's no high school soccer. There's no scholastic soccer. Everybody plays for their city's club. So you could have 3 high schools, and the best kids of that city play, for that city. And it's a totally different animal where you basically have all-star teams all over the country playing.
And the competition clearly fierce there versus, well, it's the pay-per-play system. It's the reverse of AAU that folks do complain about. You need money to get your kid forward, perhaps, away from the high school level. And that will be debated for a long time in America until we see major changes. But incrementally, more merit-based systems are being put into place, fortunately, because you want to see the very best of the best have the best opportunities. Guys like Messi and the Ronaldos of the world, they don't come from privilege.
No, they don't. They were identified at 3 years, 4 years of age. Whenever I take my teams to Europe, I make sure they watch the 4-year-old games. Here, they're like bumblebee matches. There, they look like this. Okay, so here we go. What are they going to do, Mandeville?
As we start the second half, folks, we remind you, CCS Prep on Twitter, that's CCS Prep, during all of our live sports on CrescentCitySports.com, has live highlights tweeted out as well, including the goal by Walmsley. Here, poked forward and missing just wide, and complaining about a foul on the keeper that is not going to be called. A real chance for St. Paul's to double their advantage. Goes just wide as we have the replay coming up. The attack wide left setting that up. And St. Paul's oh so close with Walmsley again to make it 2-0. Instead, we're just a one-goal match moving forward, at least for the moment.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. It looks like Mandeville might be pushing a couple of their halfbacks up, and which I think is smart. But that leaves you vulnerable for the counterattack. So if they're going to do something, they need to do something now. But no, they only have one forward on the top here. So,
and that's the debate that you have to go through in your mind if you're a coach in a situation like this. Maybe do it early and late in the half as long as you're still down just a goal. See if you can jump out early after that delay. You catch somebody flat-footed. That's when any team can be most vulnerable, particularly on the back end, right?
That's right. That's right. Yes. Well, it looks like, okay, we're going to have, I don't know, Mandeville. I see the kids itching to do something, but they're still going to hold back with 4 defenders. I bet you that's another adjustment you're going to see, some more aggressive play from their defenders up. Yeah, that's not going to do it. And they're marked 4 yellow shirts on 1 white shirt like that. They're not going to score doing that.
At least with a few more numbers available, at least a chance to create more 50-50 chances. But here is the dark side of that. If you're Mandeville, St. Paul's coming with a chance, and Walmsley wanting that ball and not getting it. Instead, do 4, keeping possession and playing it back, and it winds up being deflected over the end line, and it will be a corner for the Wolves.
I tell you what, Walmsley gets that ball, you got a shot on target. I don't know why that ball wasn't passed. And then he tried to overlapping run, but by then Mandeville was able to come back.
The junior Dufour, so confident with 22 goals on the season. Goal scorers tend to believe any time the ball's at their feet, they can make something happen.
Yeah, that's a good temperament.
Missed on the initial clearance try, but it winds up at the foot of a skipper in a good spot to hoof it away just over the center line.
Yeah, it's you better get that.
Trying to keep it in play in the corner, not able to. It's like Riley Martin,
Okay.
a junior forward, getting an opportunity here on the near side, and Mandeville will take advantage of the pause before the goal kick.
Well, it's looking like Mandeville's going to be playing with a line of 3 behind an attacking striker, which is going to be a good idea if they can drop the ball back, get it to their attacking striker, and then play the ball back to that line of 3. But I don't see any evidence of that so far, them getting away with it. That explains why they were playing it to that one player. Now we got 2 forwards for Mandeville. So
Wind is now blowing across the field into our faces here at the press box from left to right as you view it. As that shot, Walmsley with the left foot, right towards the near post, and an easy save in the end for Roland.
Yeah, well, in Hunter Stadium, the wind does make a difference, and it had an effect on that shot right there.
Not much wind in the first half, but we have a cold front coming through.
Yeah.
And we're starting to feel the effects of it very quickly here now in the last couple minutes.
Yeah, I can feel it. All right, so.
Once again, it's Martin playing it forward well, and the little flick on.
Oh, I was wrong.
Misses its target. Bradford was trying to set up a teammate running right down the center of the pitch, but once again smothered by Roland.
Okay. Everybody now they like to jumble up their math, whatever. But I think the more accurate description of what they're doing in the middle third is 2 forwards and 3 halfbacks behind them, Mandeville. And then when they get into the attacking third, they push 1 forward up, looking to play it back to those 4 players. That could work. It could work, but the clock's ticking. Yeah, we already got 5 in.
Because they're oftentimes with 5 in the back, but the skippers aren't using true wing backs. They're there to defend, especially because St. Paul's had so many opportunities started from the wide areas.
Right. Tell you what, the Mandeville bench is really yelling a lot of instructions out there. One thing that amazes me, too, is like when I was on the feel of the game so different in the press box than it is on the field. Like all you watching on TV, it looks like, they're just running back.
It looks like moving chess pieces, right?
Yeah, but that's not what's going on down there. People are sweating and grunting and getting hit. It's incredible.
Well, hopefully fans can appreciate what we're bringing to you in HD tonight. It's
yeah.
the best we can do and the best way to bring soccer to you so you can see the big picture here on Crescent City Sports.
Oh, wow. That was a gorgeous throw. Okay.
The wind died down there, and there's no doubt that Caden Costa, the sophomore, with all he could behind that, perhaps a bit too far, but again, it'll be more difficult to put any balls in the air with this wind coming intermittently now with some gusts that feel like they could be around 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't understand what Mandeville's trying to do there, trying to occlude the kick. That just wasted about a minute of time. Every minute they need.
Walmsley with the only goal from the spot in the first half of this match, giving St. Paul's the slimmest of advantages. And now a foul clearly on the far sideline.
Yeah.
That the first of significance that we've seen, and causing the St. Paul's fans to grumble a bit as well.
Yeah, they want a card, but I like that decision. I mean, they were both playing hard on the ball. I mean, cards are supposed to just stop, situations from escalating. But right now, I tell you what, if Mandeville doesn't back up, okay, yeah, that's going to escalate a lot of things. All right.
There was a yellow card in the first half, of course, but that a smart play, and perhaps not with the damage done a moment ago. St. Paul's will try to make them pay for it on the free kick here, but headed away near side, and it should be a throw-in for the Wolves, and it will be.
Yep. So, tell you what, St. Paul's is not playing conservative whatsoever. Their fullbacks are healthily, really in the periphery on the top of the attack. And if Mandeville could get the ball to the right side of the field so they could use the wind across to the left, that could be the only way this win can help them, but it could help them.
Out of picture, but the American flag behind this goal whipping in the wind pretty significantly. And you can hear, I think, our crowd mic picking up the windy weather now as well. It's starting to blow pretty fiercely.
Yeah, and that I think that kind of favors St. Paul's, because if you're a possession team, you don't need to get the ball going 10 yards, and the wind doesn't affect a 5 to 7 yard pass.
Bradford finally getting it to the foot of Walmsley. Left end swinger
Sir.
towards the back post, and heck, I tell you what,
Offsides.
that's about the third time in this match that Walmsley's done a wonderful job of service towards the back post between a couple of corners, and now that opportunity, but left wanting by St. Paul's.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that when it comes to the bend on the ball and the placement of it. They just played it wide.
And it was Isolani, as we see the replay here, who headed it down but just didn't control it and angle it towards the post.
Yeah, I tell you what, if Mandeville, if they're expecting to get the ball to their central forward and play it off, that's going to be a tough thing to do.
Weimer too ambitious there, but St. Paul's again keeping it forward.
Tough ball here.
Here a chance due for, but the ball with a high hop there, bailing out Mandeville, and again Rowland with a chance to secure it and hoof it forward.
Tell you what, that's a big kick right there. That was a push in the back. All right, Mandeville still gets it. St. Paul's, the positioning of their fullbacks is, I mean, Coach Moser does such a good job of teaching these kids how to not get bunched up and to keep them where they need to be.
The spacing has been superb tonight for St. Paul's, and they're not able to control, or perhaps a chance to pull up, and three different Wolves coming.
So if they're looking for the St. Paul's to make a mistake, that's a tough thing to I mean, all teenagers, you know, people do make mistakes, but it's going to be tough to find St. Paul's errant in the back.
Just so hard to string passes together for the Skippers, and really they're not trying.
No.
St. Paul's certainly able to, and that one, again, the center backs keeping it alive long enough for Rowland to have a chance. They've played really well there in the middle of the defense. And in particular, you're seeing the midfielders having to come back and battle as well very hard and doing a nice job.
Okay, well, that's a good idea here, and that's a bad idea.
Vetchik overweighted that one.
Yes. Oh, look, Mandeville's going to put 3 people in, so maybe we're changing our tactics to take advantage of the wind. That's one thing about soccer, you can't call timeout, and right now the complexity of the wind has changed everything in the last 10 minutes.
Ganji Amila, one of the subs waiting to come on, one of the top goal scorers, needing as much firepower on the pitch as possible, seeking a goal here for Mandeville.
That was a good no call by the referee. Again, good no call. I think they're going down a little too easy. What a wonderful atmosphere to play a soccer game in. I love it when you have a big crowd that's jeering at you, personally.
How does it work out once we get to the finals? I have not had the opportunity to see a state championship game over at ULL yet, so I don't know.
Well, first of all, you don't have all the speed of the turf. They have a very, very well-manicured Bermuda field, and so it kind of slows the game down a little bit, which allows teams like Episcopal School of Acadiana, that I think is probably better possessing the ball than St. Paul's, a chance to just pick people clean. You have that neutral stadium, and in a neutral field, I mean, it's as fair as it can be.
Brilliant ball wide, and there's got to be a whistle, and it is a penalty, and a second chance from the spot coming the way of St. Paul's, and another no-brainer for the official. A second yellow comes out.
So being overly aggressive can bite you.
It's the second PK for the
Yeah, and the reason why you're getting yourself in a position like that is that you made a bad decision 2 seconds earlier and got you in that hopeless place. All right, if St. Paul's does what they did the last time and not worry about strategy and tactics, just put the ball in the lower 90. Red card. Oh, that was dumb. He probably said something.
So it was Brendan Williams, who I believe basically accumulated a pair of yellows.
Oh, it was 2 yellows. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Once for the foul, and clearly a foul from our replay, and then once for dissent, and it just made a Herculean task, borderline impossible, particularly if once again Walmsley can convert here from the spot.
Yeah. Well, I see Erie now making adjustments with his subs, so who knows what they'll do. You see, you can't stop. You can't defend that. That's a lower 90. No high school goalie stopping that shot. Beautiful shot.
It's a brace for Connor Walmsley, both from the penalty spot, and a 2-0 lead for the number 1 seeded St. Paul's Wolves, and clearly a well-deserved advantage in this match by perhaps the best team in all of Louisiana high school soccer.
Yep. I wish we could have the divisions 1, 2, 3, and 4 have exhibition games against each other, because you haven't seen them play, but Episcopal School of Acadiana they really play an impressive brand of soccer, and they haven't, like last year they were never tested, never challenged. Of course, that's Division 4, and I guess just like John Curtis football playing in the Catholic League, things change. And I think if they were in Division 1, it'd be a different animal. So. I understand all of that, but still, I'd love to see St. Paul's and ESA play.
Now St. Paul's looking to play add-on here, and once again in dangerous territory. Martin played forward and just poked away. Not cleared, though, and the shot will go into the back of the net. A gorgeous goal by James Till, and it's 3-0 St. Paul's.
Beautiful shot, beautiful play, getting the ball from one side of the field to the other. That's a possession team's trademark, and now, I mean, you could just see it on the Mandeville body language. This game's over. It shouldn't be over, but it's over. There's still plenty of time, though. 25 minutes, but he'd have to make adjustments and press the line. I think that I see them trying to do that.
Emotionally, at this point, you have to think how the Skippers are feeling.
Oh,
pretty
spent.
low at this point with their season on the line, the exhaustion. You see it on some of the faces and the expressions.
Yep.
Both on the broadcast and watching some of the players. And you can't blame them. And really now down a man as well. It hurt right away on the first goal from the run of play by Till.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're going to see some more numbers and substitutions from Mandeville, and perhaps giving some opportunities for everybody to play at this point, with the postseason looking like it's coming to an end for the 16 seed. I
don't know. I think now he's trying to coach and trying to, abandon what he did at halftime and try to do something different. Let's see. 2, 3, 4.
Now playing only 4 at the back, so sacrificing there to not give up an opportunity and to try to attack when they rarely come.
Oh, man, it looks like Mandeville's decided that they're going to play with their 4 in the back, and the midfielders were hesitant to come back.
Fancy footwork by Bradford, but leading to nothing, and now again Mandeville.
Well, it's not a bad idea.
Needing to attack very quickly on the counter, not able to pull anything off.
It's not a bad idea what they're trying to do, but they can easily give up 4 or 5 goals doing it from counterattacks like this one.
Another chance for Bradford. Near side, playing it towards the middle, and that is off the crossbar and in the net. And it's a 3rd goal for Connor Walmsley.
Yeah, I expect now Sean is going to empty the bench. Beautiful, beautiful goal. And that's from, trying to play offensive with less players. It's just, right now, tonight's a nightmare if you're Mandeville.
3 goals in the span of 4 minutes. St. Paul's led 1-0 at the break, and now piling on against their district rival, and Connor Walmsley enjoying a fantastic night. 3 playoff goals.
It's a shame for Mandeville. Mandeville have been on the bottom of the bracket. We're probably seeing them, a week or 2 from now, but they're done. It's over.
And at the same time, rain starting to fall just a little bit harder, and some of the Mandeville fans perhaps heading out.
Yeah. It looks like we're going to get the bench cleared now. I think that's a really wise move so that his future could get a little taste of the game. A lot of times coaches just let the seniors, out of honor, let the seniors play it out, but there's a bad side to that. It's that you had the opportunity to get your youngsters some really good pressure-filled game time, and you didn't.
And those young players for St. Paul's are going to keep attacking and trying to make their mark on this match.
Oh, I guarantee you, whoever goes in the game for St. Paul's, they're coming at you.
Ty Priola looking to throw in. A senior.
Looks like they changed their mind.
Actually, that's a correction. It's Ashton Mouton, a sophomore. Again, speaking of young players, but that will be a goal kick for Mandeville. We remind you that live streaming on Crescent City Sports is brought to you by Gibbs Construction, a leader in the construction industry in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast. For more than 35 years, transforming dreams, visions, and plans into reality. Gibbs Construction.
I want to remind y'all too. We're going to do a special broadcast tomorrow on Monday Night Football and try to on Facebook Live and to analyze the second round and what's going on with the third round. We're going to be doing that at 9 o'clock tomorrow night if anybody's interested.
We'll have a better look of the brackets. The boys will have their quarterfinal matchup set after tonight's games.
Well, Catholic beat Bonneville 4-0, so I mean, you can't ask for a better opponent on the top of the bracket, I guess, but I don't think Catholic Baton Rouge is going to give St. Paul's much to worry about. Well, you got to play the game, so we'll see what happens. But now, here's the deal, though. Catholic might have to Catholic was home and home. No, Catholic will have to travel.
Right, they had a bye as well, even though they played a 24 seed.
Yeah, so. Because when the state, it's not the lowest seed when you get to the third round. It's who's traveled the most. And so that's one of the little differences we do with soccer.
But the better seed guaranteed a home match in the semifinals now.
Yes,
correct?
yes.
That's true in all sports. And that, a nice save.
Barely saved by the Skippers.
So.
14th shot of the match for the Wolves, 8 on target, many of those on target coming in the last 10 minutes. 3 goals in the span of under 5 minutes, putting this match away for the top seed.
And I want to add, too, those last 2 shots were shot with authority. Okay? They weren't just taken with a prayer and a hope. I mean, they were drilled.
Till and Walmsley from distance, able to put it into the net. And again, this exactly what Sean Moser wanted to see blowing open this match. As long as it's a 1-goal match, hey, the underdog definitely very much in it. But St. Paul's showing their pedigree and class here. And it's just the cumulative effect of dominating the ball and being on attack. And they did this in the regular season to Mandeville. And again, we mentioned the huge regular season upset, 1-0 by the Skippers. That very much in the mind of the Wolves every time these teams have faced since.
Yep. They want to just make sure that it's viewed in the North Shore as an accident.
And look at the record of St. Paul's in Louisiana.
Yeah.
You can claim it's always an accident when they lose in Division I as rarely as it happens. Usually their defeats coming in out-of-state tournaments.
That's right. The referee made a good call there. That was definitely offsides.
We're fortunate, though, tonight in the matches, the rain, just a sprinkle at this point. We haven't had much of it until the last 15 minutes or so. The forecast a couple days ago, we very much wanted to do this match because of the history between these two programs. We were worried when we saw 80%.
Right.
And that's always a shame when you talk about playoff matches affecting the quality, and you don't want to see flukes decide matches because of the conditions, obviously.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's true. But,
Go ahead, Coach, and clear your throat here. As this cold air coming in can have an effect.
No, it's me yelling.
It takes a couple weeks right after a coach's season's over to discover what it feels like not to have that rawness of the throat from practices every day, right?
Honestly, the way we exited out of the playoffs last week, I haven't felt that hard of a hit of a loss since we lost to Jesuit 3-0 years ago when I was coaching at Brother Martin in 03. And it was just a weird game, and I'm just now starting to...
Oh, Bradford, a brilliant play, and that should have been number 5.
Just over.
You better believe it.
Bradford's been
Great
so
pass,
dangerous here
Bradford.
coming from the near side, but again, St. Paul's has left several goals on the pitch tonight on top of the 4 they have scored.
Yeah, they have. They have. And I mean, the truth is the truth. The best team doesn't have to win the game. They usually do. But, yeah, you want to do it.
Yeah, we're going to have to go ahead and make a change here because the wind is blowing the rain into our booth. As much as we enjoyed the cool air, we're going to have to give that up and keep going.
I was about to work on my suntan yesterday.
Yeah, today, unbelievably, 80 degrees during soccer playoff time in Louisiana. That's an awfully rare high.
At the game last night, I was shooing away mosquitoes. Oh, here's a chance. Oh,
Had a handball
Yeah,
and the call
handball.
made as Mandeville had an opportunity perhaps to set up a shot.
Yeah, I hope the Mandeville fans do see the quality of their season, and that and I think anybody with any common sense here, they do see that, and the culture here on the North Shore. I mean, he's probably got another year or two to go to have a kid who's in the 7th grade when he's making his decision as a Mandeville citizen. Should he go to Mandeville or St. Paul's? You know, it's going to take still a little bit more time.
Bradford again decides to do it himself and just missed wide of the near post. I guess after a couple of opportunities that his teammates couldn't cash in on, Bradford, a fine goal scorer, was looking for his 15th instead there. Maybe in different circumstances he shares the ball.
Right.
I want you to talk about your De La Salle program, by the way, Coach.
Okay.
Because you're obviously trying to build something at a school that has really, in all areas, come forward academically and athletically, and now dealing with a new athletic director who's built a fine football program at De La Salle.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you with this. I've had athletic directors for 38 years, and I think the athletic director we had this year, Ryan Manali, he's been at more games than all the athletic directors, soccer games, combined. I mean, he was in my halftime. I've never had to experience an athletic director before. It's a very new experience for me, that an athletic director who's on the sidelines, caring about what was going on. And it's going to make my job a whole lot easier when you have somebody who's on the sidelines expecting excellence and wanting to be the best. So I'm at a wonderful place right now, and I can't ask for a better place to work at. And but it takes time to build a program. It really, really does, especially with the choices kids have. Not just with the choices the kids have within the schools that they can attend, but really you're competing against all the activities that they can
You're
be
just a piece of the puzzle, and you
right.
need that cooperation from everybody on the athletic side, the clubs and academic side as well.
That's right. One thing good about De La Salle, honestly, is that, you know, if I got a kid who can play another sport, I'm not going to try to compete with that coach, you know, or try to play. A lot of high schools, a lot of the coaches compete for those players and tell them they can only play their sport. And at De La Salle, really, Ryan is encouraging his football players to play. Most of our 6 of our starters were starters on the football team. So, and I saw a little bit of that last night. And so, in a smaller school, that's really, really critical. And I'm seeing not just De La Salle, but a lot of schools taking advantage of that, you know, mentality to try to work together instead of just build your own program. And then
another outstanding athletic director, we have to thank Craig Kettleson here at St. Paul's for giving us the opportunity to broadcast here, and he's been so great to us at Crescent City Sports, bringing 3 different sports actually. We've brought wrestling, soccer, and football to you, and Craig, an outstanding wrestling coach in the past, state championship winning coach here at St. Paul's, and you see the growth of all the programs for St. Paul's, the baseball team making the state finals last year, and the soccer program's brilliant, of course, under Sean Moser.
Yeah, but I just saw when I was pulling in at least $10,000 going into the baseball facility. So things. I don't think St. Paul is at their apex yet. It looks like they're determined to be the best in everything.
A steady growth over the last 15 or 20 years in all areas here on the North Shore. Of course, another great soccer program in SSA.
Yeah,
and their great success over the years just down the road in this fine neighborhood that feels that country feel on the North Shore that folks look for. And we're so happy that they have us for so many opportunities to bring live sports on the high school level to the folks around the state and beyond.
Well, everybody at St. Paul's. Trevor also in the front office. I mean, they're just all first-class people. And you could tell when there's a wrestling match here how well they do it. You know, a lot of times I'll bring my junior high soccer teams up here to play where they're having a major wrestling tournament. And they just do everything great. They do everything right.
Also here on the North Shore, great friends of Crescent City Sports to bring matches like this to you. Gills Bar, live streaming on Crescent City Sport, brought to you by Gills Bar for more than half a century, offering services, solution, and support for businesses and associations looking for happier constituents and healthier bottom lines. To learn more on how Gills Bar can help your business, visit gillsbar.com.
I think this is wise by both teams. Get some of your younger players a piece of this pie. They've been training for a whole season. Give them a chance to be on the field.
Everybody getting a chance to play here down the stretch tonight as St. Paul's blew open a game that was 1-0 at the half with 3 goals in the span of about 5 minutes. 3 of the goals tonight scored by Connor Walmsley, the senior, who came in with 8 on the season, so a big night for him. Usually a facilitator, a couple of those goals coming from the spot, the first 2 of the 4 for the Wolves.
Look, I've put my team, De La Salle, on the field with Jesuit and lost to them 4-0. I haven't had a chance to really see St. Paul's till tonight. Now that I had a chance to do both, I think if we do get another St. Paul's Jesuit final, it's going to be worth the drive, and it's really, really, really going to be a great game. I'm hoping for the fans that we will have this, barring a North Shore upset, and I wouldn't mind to see a North Shore play either. So this thing's far from over for the state championship title, and Division I soccer is so fun to watch.
Dragged forward, but not much on it. Another play that's easy, but so busy tonight. Evan Rowland in goal for Mandeville tonight. And hey, I got to tell Matt Merritt on the roof, I know it's raining and windy, but we have a message for you. Come on, keep focus. We're tracking the thread on the LA Prep Soccer board of this match. Of course, many matches going on the past couple days, and fans, we're glad so much, appreciating our coverage of this match tonight.
LA Prep, it's just, think about all the years that's been on the internet, and how it just, nobody's taking it over. I mean, that is the place to be if you love high school soccer.
So many coaches too involved, so the information is so key.
Yeah,
in order to spread the word and cover and follow these matches, and that information always accurate, which is so important.
Not only that, it's so well moderated. They're not going to allow people to banter and demean Chad Vadrine and Jonathan Redenauer, who's playing a big game right now. I'm kind of curious to see if East Jefferson survived Washita Parish's onset. They've had to play 3 years in a row now, despite the power rankings trying to get rid of that, you know. Oh, boy. St. Paul's might get a 5th. Nope. That was kind of cocky, though.
A little too much force on that.
Speaking of losing focus, sometimes you go for the high level of difficulty when a simple play can be made when you have a match in hand like we have this one.
Indeed. But that could have been a mistake because of the fact that these kids are still competing for starting spots at St. Paul's. If you want to get Coach Moser's attention, do the right thing, you know.
That's a coach figuring out the most important aspect of things. Why am I not surprised?
Right.
17-2 the shots
Wow.
in favor of St. Paul's. So no fluke about this, as they scored 4 in the regular season against the Skippers and 4 in counting when it really counts here in the postseason.
Yeah, I think the strategy that Mandeville had was solid. The handball was unfortunate, and then once you get down 1-0, everything, if you were planning to park the bus and get into overtime, like a lot of these games have been going to, St. Thomas More lost in a golden goal last night to Neville. And so, nobody saw that coming. And I bet you if we could see the film, Neville probably parked the bus hoping for that kind of thing to wear the team down, then get a goal in overtime. And that might have been Aries' philosophy, but it's when you go down 1-0, it just kills you.
And another D1 match going on right now. It's Dutchtown leading 2-1 over Lafayette on the road with 15 minutes to play. The winner to face Jesuit in the quarterfinals on the other end of the bracket.
That is going to absolutely disappoint a lot of people because the Jesuit-Lafayette game was ugly would be an under explanation of the game, and people wanted to see that rematch, and so Dutchtown's going to ruin that. Having said that, Dutchtown is a quality program. They've had a great year this year too. So if Lafayette being at home, I've seen Lafayette play. They're excellent. I watched them dismantle St. Thomas More, and I was really looking forward to a Lafayette Jesuit match, but it looks like that's not going to happen.
Clearly great soccer played in one specific area amongst these large schools with Denham Springs, Santa Ma. You mentioned East Ascension earlier, falling 1-0 to North Shore, and Dutchtown perhaps the only team to break seeding here in the bracket into the quarterfinals if they can hold on at Lafayette.
A lot of those kids would normally play for Baton Rouge Soccer, and now you have Gonzales Soccer has grown into a major club, and now in the Live Oak area, Denham Springs area, they lost one club, but there's another one that just picked up the pace, and so the kids are getting better coaching, and better coaching breeds these results.
St. Paul still on the attack after their 10th corner, and another chance right in front of the goal mouth, cleared away. But St. Paul's still coming.
And Mandeville's still defending. I mean, Mandeville's still got 9 people behind the ball, and they're playing as hard as they can. And
there's pride and familiarity and rivalry, and all these moments count, even though the match is obviously decided.
And it's so good to see, because those Mandeville players are playing their hearts out, and the St. Paul's players are not giving in. And so it's nice to see in a game like this that they're still giving us everything they got.
Doel has his play cleared. A good shoulder-to-shoulder there and fighting for it. Yeah. Caleb Nicotry.
And look, high school soccer is getting more and more physical. Like it or not, look at that. You know, it's getting to the point where it's brutal. We had a kid carted off for a potential broken neck last week that caused a 25-minute delay. I've never seen that before. I mean, I've seen kids get hurt and legs shattered, but the referees, they're really letting things go. I think maybe a little bit too much here on the South Shore and in the New Orleans area.
How much of that is strength and conditioning versus just how sports in general, basketball, football, the longer we go, you need rule changes to keep it being too physical, it seems?
I think this is the effect of turf. The speed of the game has gotten to the point where you can't keep up with the speed, so you got to find another way to compensate for it. And here you have just people running around like bowling balls and missiles. Look at the speed of that play.
Skipper's goalie able to reach it just in time.
Five minutes to go, plus added on time in the match. And it hasn't changed much from start to finish. It's a lot of the guys in yellow making the push and having opportunities to score.
Yeah, that was unfortunate right there, how they handled that. I mean, believe me, these kids, they're going to talk about this game for 12 months. So, you know.
And it's a real challenge for the officials to make sure that the physicality doesn't go a bit too far. We've had a red card in this match because of 2 yellows and not necessarily because of too much of what anyone would describe as dirty play.
Yeah, that's correct. And this game's been under control. Got some more players coming in. It's good to see that. I mean, Mandeville really should be proud of what they did this year. They should not let this result dampen their season. Having said that, I've been in Mandeville's shoes. I know those words aren't going to console them for their pain.
For a while, the pain lingers, but this is a program that didn't make the postseason last year. They're back, and they've had success in the past. And just talk a little bit about both of these coaches. Of course, Sean Moser's record speaks for itself.
Yes.
But obviously, you know Ari really well, and he's done a great job.
Well, both of them have understood that if you're going to have a good program, you better have a good freshman program. You better have to have all cylinders firing in the lower levels if you're going to have a Division I contender. And Mandeville, Ari's done a good job to get that. St. Paul's has always had that. St. Paul's, that was built in the 90s and was never allowed to fall off. Every coach that took over, from Brother Tim to Trevor Watkins to Sean, those are all Hall of Fame coaches. So St. Paul's never took a year or two off and let the program slide. You know, Mandeville's getting things built up, but it's going to take a while. But the reason why they're here is because they're getting it done on the lower levels. And I'm seeing it because I got my junior high team traveling around. and I make a note of it to try to go play Mandeville.
Doel deciding to go for it rather than center it and kicking wide into the side of the net. Speaking of Sean Moser's career, how rare is it to have somebody win 4 state championships on the girls level and then switch over to boys and do what he's done at St. Paul's, 5 and counting?
Yeah, I think that makes him a legend. I don't think that makes him a Hall of Fame coach, And, you could argue that, like I was saying before, you had Tim and Trevor.
Right.
By the same token, here this speaks for itself. I mean, you still got to win. Everybody thinks it's easy to coach good players, but it's really not. It's hard to keep them focused and to keep the team balanced, and he's done that. And he's done that. I mean, that was probably the goal of the century in high school soccer that Jesuit scored last year.
Right.
I mean, nobody saw that coming. And then the overtime kind of favored Jesuits in. But the better team really was St. Paul's for the most part. When it came to possession and everything, they just got surprise.
And Jesuit may have had the best keeper in the state last year, a big part of their success, and able to make that run. They survived an extra time match at Catholic High that was apparently legendary as well. So certainly sometimes it's just meant to be, and you can't win them all, I guess is what that is the category you put it in for St. Paul's, although they certainly try to do so. And they're certainly favored to do so again this year.
And look, to win 1 state championship in this state is a great accomplishment, and for him to have 9 in his pocket, that to me is legendary. Coach Ortling has got quite a few himself at St. Louis. He got his 600th win this year, and those coaches are at another level that I'd like to be at, but I'm not. I'm not. I mean, just like people like to criticize Tom Brady, but you can't deny that his right hand weighs about 25 pounds more than the average NFL player.
Exactly right. And there's only few on the list who can truly understand what Tom Brady's of the world and the great coaches, Sean Moser at the high school level in this state and beyond. When you're at that point, you're not beyond criticism, but it's another level to understand. To be able to come up with that level of success. Nobody's perfect, so the closer you are to perfection, the more impressive it is. And again, for St. Paul's, that just adds the pressure not only on the coach but the players. They're expected to make deep runs in the postseason, and in St. Paul's case, they're expected not to lose at all in the regular season, and oftentimes they've been able to do that in state play, which is awfully impressive. And we look at the different areas of the state, though, that more and more of the big metropolitan areas have really good quality youth soccer, though, don't they? And that's great for the sport in Louisiana.
Well, I want to go back to something you said earlier, though. It's for him to win, Coach Moser to win at the girls and the guys' side. Matt Jacque is at St. Scholastica right now. He's won 3 state titles at Newman with the boys, but the girls' game is different. I don't care. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody. It's not. I'm not saying it's worse. It's different. It is a different. The intensity is not different. The importance of the state championships are not different. But the temperament of the players and the speed of the game is different.
Right.
And for him to be able to come to the boys' game where it's almost blinding speed when it comes to the boys, it's almost ridiculous how we just play these balls up and just run them down. And for him to come and just fit right into that. That's legendary. I'll stick by it.
And it's a balance of speed and skill, though, whether you're talking about girls or boys soccer. Yeah, and skill being all important, and it's that day-to-day work on the skill set that makes teams complete, and development of players at this level obviously is first and foremost.
Oh, it really, really is.
We see if Mandeville can get on the score sheet like they did to avoid the shutout the
That's
first
it.
time,
Almost.
and just over the crossbar. And you can see the disappointment.
Yeah.
5 different players grabbed their heads on what was the final opportunity of the match. Mandeville's season is over, and St. Paul's moves on with a brilliant performance at Hunter Stadium. 4-0 the final for the number 1 seeded Wolves, led by the outstanding performance of Connor Walmsley, the senior, with 3 goals tonight, leading the charge. And this was no fluke. This was St. Paul's flexing their muscle.
That's true. And this state championship's not over, everybody. All the teams that everybody's been picking that could upset St. Paul's or Jesuit, they're still in the mix. And of course Jesuit is still in the mix too. So you got Division 1 is still a question mark. And the games have got to be played, and we don't know what kind of weather conditions we're going to be having and all. And credit to St. Paul's and Mandeville for giving us a good show tonight. But a lot of people expected a game like 3-0 tonight when we came out here to the stadium. And I thought both teams played the best that they could.
18 shots to 3 for the Wolves tonight. 8 on target to just 1 for Mandeville. A real chance there late, the best of the match going by for the Skippers. 10 corners to 1, the type of dominance you'd expect. And Mandeville playing the final 30 minutes or so of this match down a man, so making things even more difficult for them. But again, Coach, I want you to promote a further breakdown of what's going to be happening in the playoffs that you're going to have tomorrow night on Facebook Live.
Oh, we're going to be going over all of the quarterfinals at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. If y'all go to MNFUTBOL, if you miss it, just go to Crescent City Sports. The podcast will be up. And anyway, we're going to take the time that we do have to break down all the girls and the boys, all 4 divisions, who's got the advantage and who's got to travel. The travel is really going to be important, and that's going to be determined in the next 24 hours by the coach. I mean, who the referee associations are going to be. We'll try to track those down too, because in the first couple of rounds, we've had a lot of teams with familiarity and using the same official association like these guys did. But now look, with St. Paul's playing Catholic, there's no way Catholic's going to allow Crescent City referees to be here, and there's no way Sean is going to let Baton Rouge officials in here. So what crew is going to come in? And as we talked about on the show several times, like it or not, a Crescent City crew calls a different game than a Lafayette crew.
Right.
And then from a Lake Charles crew. So that's going to have a lot to do with it too, which doesn't get talked about enough. And I'm going to try tomorrow night to break that down as well.
Really nice job of St. Paul's, a tradition here, congratulating the fans for coming to support them on the night as they head to the far side after the handshake between teams. And this Mandeville team can certainly be proud of their performances here. St. Paul's improves to 22-1-4 overall, and they'll move on to face Catholic of Baton Rouge in the quarterfinals next week, a 1-8 matchup in Division I there. And Mandeville's season ends at 16-8-2, but a return to the playoffs and a postseason win as well for the Skippers. So plenty to be happy about on both sides as we move forward. But St. Paul's looking for another state title, and we'll have each and every day and each and every round of the playoffs tracked for you on CrescentCitySports.com with recaps, the scores, and the brackets, including tomorrow morning. You can check it out with a recap of this match and Coach DeRitter and his podcast on Monday night, plus the special podcasts as well. I'm Jude Young, about to sign off, but final thoughts from the coach. Alan, thanks so much for making the long trick here and pulling double duty tonight. And just your final thoughts on St. Paul's and the win tonight, as well as the soccer postseason in general for the folks out there who certainly are passionate about it.
Well, I think we've had some upsets, and we've had some things happen that we didn't expect to happen in the playoffs. It's been very, very entertaining so far. I think just the race to the playoffs has kept everybody on the edge of their seats. The day all the teams came out was crazy because they had 5 games disallowed by the LHSAA to allow some of these other teams in, But I think looking at St. Paul's right now, I think that they're a classic St. Paul's. And one thing I'll tell you that I did see that I didn't talk about, that loss last year has got them hungry. I was wondering how hungry they would be. And I don't think that hunger that we saw tonight just was in the fact that they lost to Mandeville 1-0. I think it's because they are not going to lose their focus at all if they get through. And if everybody's going to beat them, they're going to have to beat them with a solid game plan and with a total game, because that is a hard team to beat. And they're still beating right now after a 4-0 win, and that's saying that team is not satisfied with this.
The road to Lafayette continues for the Wolves of St. Paul's. 3 goals tonight, including 2 from the spot for Connor Walmsley. James Till, a brilliant shot off the crossbar and in from about 20 yards out for the other. It was Walmsley from the spot at the 18-minute mark of the first half, and the Wolves took the 1-0 lead into the break. Then Brendan Williams with a pair of yellow cards, the first leading to the second penalty kick for Walmsley, the second leaving Mandeville a man down, and just about 90 seconds later, James Till with that great shot to make it 3-0. Walmsley 2 minutes after that, completing the hat trick with a half volley from about 18 yards out, and that was that as they played out the string between these two teams. And again, Mandeville's best chance coming on the final few seconds of the match. But a shutout for Trace Roberts in goal for St. Paul's, and we move on to the quarterfinals. Coach, thanks so much tonight. We appreciate it. Again, thanks to Chip Merritt and Matt Merritt on the roof. We'll let him come down now. You can watch a replay of this match on CrescentCitySports.com. And again, we thank everybody out there following us at LA Prep Soccer on the message board and beyond. Jude Young for Alan DeRitter signing off from Covington. Again, St. Paul's wins it 4-0 over Mandeville here in the regional round of the Division I LHSA Boys Soccer Playoffs on CrescentCitySports.com. Good night.